Hello everyone, this is Jotto and welcome to the Hearthstone Weekly Show. Now for this week we're going to be talking about a couple of different topics. The first thing is the tournament that I have been organizing with three other teams, so Acebreakers, Vega Squadron, Lucky Draw, and Infused. It is called the Gauntlet of Legends. Yes, the name is cheesy, but we're going with it. And it is going to be broadcasted on my channel, I'm guessing, but I will keep you updated if there's any change in that. It will be broadcasted on Thursday, this week and next week, at 4 p.m. GMT. That's Greenwich Mean Time, UK time. So if you actually missed the broadcast, then the videos will be uploaded to, well, this channel and possibly some other YouTube channels, but I'm not sure about that. But they'll definitely be here. So if you missed them on Thursday, they'll probably be up here on Friday or Saturday or something around there. But anyway, so the format, it will be in the description. Since I've already explained it once before, it'll be in the description, so have a look there if you want to see. The other two topics I'm going to be talking about today are, firstly, the 2015 World Championship structure thing that I have not had a chance to talk about yet, and the other thing is how the metagame is going to be affected by the Undertaker nerf. Now, I was considering making that into its own episode, however, I'm not really going through what I normally do with the metagame, which is go over each deck, and which is good, which is bad, because it's only one change. So it's more of a case of just kind of figuring out which of the established decks are viable as opposed to creating any new decks. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started with the Hearthstone World Championship. So this was released recently, I guess. Yeah, pretty recently. And this has all the information about Blizzcon, at least the Hearthstone side of things, and it is incredibly complicated, so I'm going to try and explain this as best I can. First of all, this picture is useless. I tried reading this the first time and it doesn't actually tell you anything unless you've read the rest of it, which makes it a little bit useless. But anyway, so first thing is, well, besides prize pool, I think that's the same as last time. Regionals have prize pool as well. But, yeah, moving down here. Now, regional representatives, details. The other thing that people were wanting to know about is the point system. Now, this table is not very clear. However, the main thing is ranked play. This is legend ranking, obviously. If you get top 100, you get 1 point. Top 50, 10. Top 20, 30. Top 10, 40. And first place on the ladder in one season, you get 50 points, which is an absolutely insane amount. As for, I'm guessing Hearthstone Cups are Blizzard-sponsored tournaments for Blizzcon entry. And then the other ones are prize pool tournaments. Now, Blizzard events, again, I'm guessing that's Blizzard-sponsored tournaments. So we'll actually have to see exactly what this is. Alright, so these are the details for... Is that details for how events work? Okay, so the Hearthstone Cups are just any events that are run. They have to have at least 32 people in them. They have to have a minimum registration cap. Okay. So it has to have at least 128 people in it registered and 32 people in it. Interesting. There can't be any invites, and there has to be a video of the top 4, which I am very, very happy about because it is nice to get some extra videos out there. Organizer experience has to have operated 2 prior successful and documented Hearthstone events, so I guess technically I would fit the bill for that, but whatever. And the prize tournaments have to have a license agreement with Blizzard, considering, it's a, well, prize tournament. Besides that, Video requirements of the prize tournaments, they have to be commentated stream and VOD of top 16. Interesting. That's for both, and then it has to be English commentated for the 25k. Alright, minimum players 16, none for the main event. 50% of the top 16 need to be able to qualify from open qualifiers. Players can't be invited beyond round of 16. Alright, so basically these are your invitationals, your massive prize pool tournaments, things like that. So it's interesting that they're supporting both these and you just need to apply. Okay, now this is something which this is the tournament format. Now, this is something which a lot of people have been talking about and are confused about, and rightfully so, because this is one of the weirdest choices for a structure I've ever seen. In fact, it is dangerously close to the single worst Hearthstone structure ever invented, which was ESL's old format. Now, for anyone who's wondering, ESL's old format was do whatever the hell you want in between games. It was terrible. It was absolutely atrocious because after the first game, so just turn my webcam up a bit. After the first game, what would happen is you would change, and then the other person would change, and it would just go crazy. I did play an ESL tournament match, which was best of 3, where 5 classes were played. That doesn't even make sense. Yeah, it was 5 classes over 3 games. Just think about that. That's almost a different class every game. That's ridiculous. And I actually stopped playing those ESL tournaments after that. They have changed their format since, but it was a really bad format, and this is pretty close. So, for anyone who hasn't seen this, this is what, let's see if I can find the, it's called Conquest. Currently attempting to find it. There is a format down here, or up here, or has this been removed? No, there it is. Alright. Conquest. Now, this is one of the weirdest formats ever. As far as I know, this is just for Blizzard events. So yeah, this is regionals, and I'm guessing Blizzcon. So, the match is best of 5. Then, you both bring 3 classes, no bans. That should be interesting. The first player to win 3 games with different classes. Alright, you both bring 3 decks. Then the first player to win a game with each of his 3 classes wins. I think. Yeah. So, if I start with Rogue, and someone else starts with Druid, and then I lose, I can switch my deck. I don't have to. I can switch my deck. And my opponent has to switch his deck. So the idea is that it stops the rock, paper, scissors thing, and it also means that you can't sweep someone with one class. Here's the problem. After the first game, the winner has 2 decks he could be playing. The loser has 3. Which means that the second game is completely decided by chance. And the third game, not necessarily the third game. But anyway, the second game is the worst case scenario because it means that there's 5 decks that could be played. Think about that. That's insane. I mean, you know each other's classes, but you can't metagame people when no one has any idea what they're playing against. So it creates this stupid situation. That is the exact reason why a lot of people hated the ESL format. Some more than others. I mean, yeah, I basically quit those tournaments because of it. But it creates pretty much the same situation minus 1 class. Why? What was the point? Deck elimination is not a perfect format, but it at least makes logical sense. This doesn't. What's going to happen is that there's already a winner's advantage in deck elimination because you win the first game and you get momentum. Even if they counter your deck, you counter theirs, and then they counter yours, you counter theirs, and you win. So, it's still an advantage. But in this one, you're going to have, alright, first person wins. Second game, coin flip, because there's 5 decks you can pick from. There's 5 decks, so what is that? Like, it's a ridiculous amount of matchups total. Like, it's an absolutely insane amount of matchups. In fact, what is that? Like 6 matchups total that could happen on a coin flip, basically, or whatever, a dice roll. But anyway, so that's how the second game is decided, by you both picking random stuff. Then let's say the person who lost the first game wins a game, which is not advantage to him in any way, apart from the fact that he has only a 50-50 chance of being wrong as opposed to a 1 in 3. But yeah, so he wins the second game. Then the third game becomes, because you can both switch, now there's only 4 classes, which means you both have a 50-50 chance of deciding the good matchup. Now, just to give you an example of how stupid this is, imagine you have these classes. So, you have, a rush deck, and then, yeah, let's say you're playing Priest, which is supposed to be good against a aggro deck. Let's just say you're playing an anti-aggro Priest. Don't know why you would at the moment, but anyway, let's just say that. You're playing an anti-aggro Priest, and then you're playing some sort of Paladin list. And your opponent has Zoo and Control Warrior. So this is the stupid situation. You go into game 3, and you're like, alright, so if I pick Paladin, then I can beat his Control Warrior. But because I don't have any Zombie Childs in my deck, because aggro is supposed to be covered by Priest, first of all, you couldn't do this because of this weird format. You just can't do it that way. So let's say that you don't have any Zombie Childs and you're not that good against aggro with your Paladin. So if you queue your Paladin into the Zoo, you lose. But if you queue your Priest into the Zoo, you win. But then if you queue the Priest into the Warrior, you lose, and the Paladin into the Warrior, you win. The problem is no one knows what each other is playing. So they basically both say, whatever, let's just pick a random class. They get the game over with, and you go into game, 4 at this point. And then basically the loser has a massive advantage in game 4. But then in game 5, it's not even an advantage. It's just a ladder game 5, because it just depends on what's left. So the first 3 games are chance-based, and then the 4th game is beneficial to the person losing, and then the 5th game is just whatever the hell is left over. What? Considering I have no idea how long I spent talking about that format, but considering I probably spent the last 7 or 8 minutes talking about just how stupid of a format that is, it's not a good one. It really isn't. The funny thing is, what's probably going to happen from this is you're literally going to get people bringing 3 classes, which are all like jack of all trade decks. Not really good at anything, just can beat everything. That's going to happen. There's no other way of doing it. You can't tech different... I mean, it's basically going to be you bring a class, then you tech cards in it to beat its bad matchups, hope for the best, cross your fingers, and you're fine. You can't bring decks that are specifically good in some matchups and bad against others. You just can't do that. That's not good. Because a lot of classes are just not good against other classes. That's just true. They're just not good all-around decks. They're supposed to be metagame choice decks, like Priest. How do you build a Priest when you have seriously, how do you build a Priest when you have no idea what you're bringing it in against, or even what kind of metagame it is? Because the metagame would be completely different in tournaments and ladder. Like, a ladder thing is just positive win percentage. And this is not really positive win percentage, it's just trying to not lose against random stuff. So you're going to end up with people bringing in really weird decks just to win the one game so they can switch deck. Because it's not like you have multiple games to figure it out. It's just going to beat you once and then go off and do something else. The other problem with this is it kind of punishes good deck design because you can't get sweeped by someone coming up with something new. On the other side of things, you can't get what happened to Blizzcon last year, which was Firebat sweeping with Druid. But I don't think the upsides even come close to the disadvantages. But anyway, I'm going to stop ranting about this format, even though I do think it's absolutely atrocious. But anyway, so the point structure. First of all, regionals. The last chance qualifier for regionals needs 2 points. Now, we already explained the points. You need to get top 100 legend twice. Or you need to get 2 top 4s in any Hearthstone Cups that are applied to Blizzard. Which is actually okay. That is actually pretty okay. Makes it much smaller of a tournament and harder to get into, but there's still going to be tons of people there. But it does mean that if basically what happened at regionals last year for the Last Chance qualifier was you had like 5 people who weren't qualified who were actually pretty close to it and were leagues above the other people there. And we're just going through 5 or 6 rounds of people who had absolutely no idea what they were doing. So it just created a absolute slaughter on both ends of things, where it's just you got the higher end players just mowing through people, and then the lower end players who are playing in last chance qualifier for regionals basically getting knocked out immediately. So it was not a good system, so I'm glad they've got the minimum point thing. Now, something I am curious about is, I didn't read this, but yeah, if you're planning to use a different... Okay, so there is options. There's options of what these tournaments that are eligible can use. Last Hero Standing, which is what we used to, Blind Pick, Best of 5, and Conquest. I can guarantee there's going to be one Conquest tournament. No one is going to use Blind Pick, Best of 5 because it's a terrible format. And then there's going to be like one Conquest tournament that's going to be really major. Everyone's going to play it, hate the format probably, and then just move back to Last Hero Standing, because Last Hero Standing, it's not a perfect format, but it's proven to be decent. It's been used by every tournament for the past 6 months or something. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure most people are going to pick Last Hero Standing, and hopefully Blizzard realizes that this format's not really going to work. Now, as far as the tournament formats... Now, I do find this quite funny, where it's saying if you want to use a different format, please contact Verify Fairness. I actually don't know another format besides this. Single, I guess triple elimination. But yeah, single, double, and then Swiss, round robin, group play. Round robins would take forever, seriously. But anyway, Swiss, I would like to see some Swiss tournaments. Most of these are going to be single elimination, though. Group play would be an interesting one as well. And the sponsors... can't have any logos with... What? Nothing about Tobago? What? That's just funny. But anyway, so you can't have any logos or anything on by sponsors. So basically none of these tournaments are going to get sponsored. That's kind of silly. I can see why they're doing it, but it's kind of difficult to hold a... Like, think about it. It's kind of difficult to hold a 25k plus, like, dollar tournament with no sponsors, because most sponsors want logos on things. So that's going to be interesting, to say the least, and we'll see how that tends to go. Fireside Gatherings, should be interesting to see what they do with that. Okay, so apparently... Wait. So yeah, Fireside Gatherings are the LAN events, basically. That's what they are. They're LAN events where you go and you play, and it's kind of like Friday Night Magic for anyone who plays Magic, paper-wise at least. But they're a little less common. I know that Fire, who used to be on Icebreakers, goes to the Manchester ones pretty frequently. So they're entered into a Fireside Gathering Championship, and then the champion of the Fireside Gathering will be awarded a seed directly into their regional. So it's a qualifier for qualifier for... It's a qualifier for qualifier for qualifier for Blizzcon. They're going... This was made fun of last year. There's so many qualifiers. There's qualifierception. I think it might just be easier to get a couple of points, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it's something. If you end up going through all of this, you can get into it. Residency oh right, this caused problems for, was it RDU last year? It may have been RDU. It caused problems for a couple of people. I remember. I think it was RDU got a spot in regionals or something, and he just couldn't take part because it wasn't in the list. It is now. But anyway, it wasn't in the list of countries that were eligible. Wait. Alright, so North America, yeah, these are supposed to be regions. China? It's not a region. Uh, Australia, New Zealand, no kidding, and that is funny. That is just amusing. Japan, eligible countries, Japan. I am saving a screenshot of this because that's hilarious. But anyway, so besides that, yeah, this is for authentication and such like that. Besides that, there doesn't seem to be anything else. Okay, so the battle tags are in points individually if you play in multiple regions. So no, you can't double dip in points in one region. Yeah, so you can't double dip in points in one region. However, you can get points on all three servers if you have that much time. So that does in fact work. So that's pretty much it as far as the Hearthstone World Championships goes. So overall, I mean, the point system is a big improvement, but then the tournament format is a big jump in the other direction. I think the tournament format is terrible, but the point system is very good. So we'll have to see how that ends up going. But anyway, so before I close off for now, a couple things about the Undertaker change. Now, the Undertaker change has created a pretty large change in the metagame, as predicted. First things first, Undertaker got nerfed, so regardless of whether or not it's good or anything, Hunters have left like the plague. Like, it's kind of weird how this works. As soon as something's nerfed, everyone assumes it's useless. So everyone's leaving Hunter alone, whereas Hunter, I think, is actually still pretty good. But anyway, as a result, there's very few Hunters. Zoo is dying off, but it's still around. And then Handlock is not as popular as it used to be. So Warlock has gone down. Zoo lost one of his most powerful cards in Undertaker, and Hunter, I think, can still sustain without it, but we'll have to see. So, where has this left us? Now, the prediction, obviously, before the nerf was, hey, control metagame. I think what's actually happened is kind of weird, but Druid, Combo Druid, and Ramp Druid. But yeah, Combo Druid has become basically the best deck in the metagame, which was kind of predicted. I mean, the way card games tend to work is if you want to beat someone, you either be a little bit slower or a lot faster. The principle being, if you're a tiny bit slower, then your value plays are better than theirs. But then if you're way faster, then you just kill them before they can get their value plays down. So that's how that particular philosophy goes when it comes to card games. So Combo Druid has basically been saying, alright, you're playing some crazy control deck. I'm just going to kill you on turn 9 before you get going. So you got your mid-rangey plays, but that's about it. I'm just going to run past and kill you. So that's what Combo Druid has been doing. It's just basically been playing these faster Druid decks, playing ramp pretty much just to get to the mid game faster. And well, that's why the deck is called Fast Druid. Is the rampy mid rangey ones with double combo. They do suffer consistency problems. However, on the plus side of things, it does have some seriously explosive turns especially on the slower decks. It's so hard to confront a turn 9 combo off a Shade. But anyway, so double combo Druid has been on the rise. Control Warrior has been going down recently in general. And I think the reason for that is Paladin has been getting better. Paladin was one of those classes that were just saying, hey, it's an Undertaker. Do I have a way of killing this? No. They had like Iron Beak Owl. It was really awkward. So basically, Paladin has got slightly better, and as a result, Warrior has got slightly worse because it was never a good matchup for the Warrior. Now, one of these decks that I don't think anyone really expected to get better was Mech Mage. Mech Mage has got pretty good because Mech Mage was not the best deck to play before because it was not the fastest deck, and it was kind of awkward when you played against a deck that was faster than you because you can race them. Now, it is the fastest deck in the format, by far, actually. It's not close. There's Rogue, which is slower, and that's pretty much the second fastest deck. I guess Paladin's pretty quick, but Mech Mage, having an explosive turn 2, or even turn 1, is pretty much unheard of in the metagame right now. There's no, well, there is Zoo, but there's very little Zoo compared to normal. No Hunter. So, it's got pretty much the only one drop that's playable right now, Cogmaster, at least in terms of the metagame. So getting down on turn 1, if you're going first,
they don't have a 2-drop, they're in trouble. They're gonna take 6 from this thing, and you can build mechs on top of it, and it's pretty brutal. On top of that, you can't really race Mech Mage because of Blast Mage and Fireballs. So the only way you can really do is just defend and then stabilize. Kind of treat it like a zoo deck. But the board is much harder to wipe, but then they can't fill up the board as well. The other thing that's been happening is Antonidas is end up in these decks, and as a result, they have a lot better late game than with Boom. You basically put Antonidas in, throw in all the spare parts, and blow your opponent up in the late game. They do have a much better matchup against things like Control Warrior because of that. Basically, you get a Antonidas down with several fireballs, and then you're pretty much golden as far as that is concerned. Now, besides that, Priest has disappeared completely. Shaman is on the rise, which I'm a bit surprised about. I guess a couple things have changed with Shaman. I mean, the metagame slowing down a bit is pretty good for the deck, to be honest. Shaman has always been one of those classes that punishes control decks hard. Like, really hard. They just grind the control decks out. The slower the deck, the worse it is. So they've always been really, really good against Warrior, because Warrior doesn't have the ridiculous value plays something like Priest does. The reason Shaman has always been bad against Priest is because the totems are not really an asset in that matchup, and they've always been more of a weakness, whereas in other matchups against slow control decks, it's a bonus. So Black Knight, Big Game Hunter, Shaman with the double hex has been popping up from time to time, which has been interesting. But that's pretty much been the entire metagame over the past couple days since the Undertaker change came through. But anyway, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any feedback, put it in the comment section below. In the subsection, I guess I'll put timestamps in, since a bunch of people will probably be complaining if I don't, since there's multiple subjects in this video. I will also put the tournament format thing, since I don't really want to explain it again, and there's a nice little image or link there. In other news, there was a tweet put out by Hearthstone with an Iron Beak owl with a monocle and a top hat and a bow tie. So I'm going to be changing my my channel avatar. It is the best thing ever. So I'm going to be changing my channel avatar, and now it's going to have a top hat and monocle and such. But anyway, that's for now. This is Jotto, signing off.